What's up, movie fans? So, I am not in my usual spot right now. I'm actually on vacation at the moment, but I saw Superman yesterday, and I wanted to talk about it. So, I don't have access to my studio, and I don't have any editing equipment, so there's gonna be no cuts in this video. If I make a mistake, it's being left in. So, this is gonna be a very different experience for me, but I didn't want to wait until next week to do a review, so this is my very informal review of Superman. So, yeah, this movie is obviously the first addition to James Gunn's DC universe that he's been putting together. So this movie had a lot of jobs. It had to introduce us to this new universe and get us interested in it. It had to give us a new, interesting version of Superman. So, going into the movie, I had a lot of expectations, and I was pretty happy with it. I think Superman 2025 is a pretty good movie. I really enjoyed it. Starting off, I just think that this movie does a very good job at introducing us to this new DC world. It's a very established world. James Gunn said that his DC universe was going to be a very established, already existing superhero world, and that is the world that this movie takes place in. And I found that to be very interesting because you're basically in this superhero world where supernatural, extraordinary things are already normalized. And that was a ton of fun, in my opinion, because it makes it so that there are a lot of absolutely ridiculous characters and plot lines who are introduced in this movie where you just don't question it because weird things are normalized in this universe. And I thought that that was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed the utter absurdity of this movie sometimes. It is a very comic booky, goofy movie, and I found that to be a ton of fun. But at the same time, it's not overly goofy to the point where it can't be taken seriously. Like, I saw somebody make a comparison between this movie and Thor: Love and Thunder. I think that's a ridiculous comparison to make. This movie knows when to take itself seriously, and also the other big difference between Superman and Thor: Love and Thunder, this movie is actually funny. So, yeah, I just thought it was a very fun movie. Getting into the characters, David Cornsweet is an amazing Superman. I think he absolutely nailed this role, and I really cannot wait to see him play Superman in more things. He's just the classic, iconic version of Superman, where he's just a really kind person. Like, that's who he is in this movie. He's just a very naturally good, caring person. And that gets him into some trouble in this movie because he does things, like, he's a very naive protagonist where he does things that cause problems for the world and get him into a lot of trouble, but it always comes out of this desire to just help people and be good, and I love that. I think that that makes him a perfect Superman, and I truly believe that this man can carry an entire cinematic universe. So, just from the perspective of making me fall in love with it's Superman so that I can see him carrying this universe, this movie did a pretty great job. Lois Lane, I thought was great in this movie. Rachel Brosnahan was a pretty good Lois Lane. She's obviously a journalist with a desire to tell the truth, but you can also tell that she really cares about Clark. But because she's a journalist, she also kind of has a responsibility to hold Clark accountable for some of the things that he does in this movie. And I thought that that was a really interesting contrast between those two characters that created a very interesting dynamic between them. Lex Luthor. I loved Lex Luthor in this movie. Nicholas Hoult nailed this performance. He was an amazing villain where, like, Lex Luthor's goal in the comics has always just been to discredit Superman because he hates Superman. And I feel like we've never really gotten that in a live-action movie. This is the first time we've gotten that. Lex Luthor in this film has no other goal than to just be the world's biggest hater. And I love that. I thought Nicholas Hoult was a fantastic, hateable villain, easily a standout in this film. I loved him. Getting into some other characters, there's a lot of other superheroes in this movie, which was something that was advertised in the marketing. And I, for the most part, really liked those other superheroes. You got Nathan Fillion in here as Guy Gardner. I thought he was really funny. Like, obviously, it's Nathan Fillion. But, you know, Guy Gardner's supposed to be kind of the selfish, cocky version of Green Lantern. And I really enjoyed him in this movie. He had a lot of really funny moments. Hawkgirl, I kind of wish got a little bit more to say. Like, she does a lot in this movie. She's very important to the story, but I didn't find her to be as memorable as some of her other counterparts, so I kind of wish that they had given her, like, more kind of funny quips and stuff. I don't know. She was just kind of forgettable for me. I really liked the role that they gave Metamorpho in this movie, but I don't want to go too much into it for spoiler reasons. And then of all of the supporting superheroes, my favorite was without a doubt Mr. Terrific. I loved Mr. Terrific in this movie. He's funny, he's a really funny character because he's kind of a humorless character, but also, oh gosh, that just, started making a loud noise. Sorry, I'm like behind a building right now. Yeah. Mr. Terrific, he's funny, but also he's just effortlessly cool. Like, there was an action sequence with him in this movie that was one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, because it's just the dictionary definition of aura farming. Like, yeah, I loved a lot of those characters. Jimmy Olsen's in here. He has a fun subplot. I don't have a lot to say about him, but I'm happy that we got a real version of Jimmy Olsen in a Superman movie instead of one that just gets shot in the head like 2 minutes into him being introduced. I wish that Perry White got more screen time simply because he's played by Bunk from The Wire, but for what he was fine. Yeah, a lot of really great characters in this movie. In general, I really liked the story. Like I said, this movie knows when to take itself seriously, and it does have some pretty tender, emotional moments that kind of, like, tugged a little bit at my heartstrings. Like, I think this movie has, like, a really heartfelt message about what it means to be human and, like, being kind to people. Like, it's not the most complex thing in the world, but it's the type of simplicity that works for a Superman movie. So, there's a lot of things that I loved about this movie. Now, I have a few problems. One, I love a lot of the characters that are in this movie, but I do have to admit, I think the movie is a bit overstuffed. Like, I feel like they did a good job with most of the things that are in here, but there is so much in here that I don't think all of it necessarily gets equal time to shine. And then my other problem is that while I love the movie's comic booky goofiness, there were a few moments where I thought it got a little bit too goofy, and I don't want to go into those moments for spoiler reasons, but all I have to say is the word monkey, and you will know what scene I am talking about when you see this movie. But overall, I thought Superman was great. I really enjoyed this film. I think it is a great start to James Gunn's DC universe. James Gunn, man, this man still has not missed when it comes to his comic book projects. I swear, I love basically every single thing that he has made, and this movie, it's the most different thing that he's done, like, for him, because he's normally making these movies with, like, crude humor and kind of, dark elements to them. This movie was a lot more lighthearted, and he has proved that he can do lighthearted stuff. So, yeah, I really love this movie. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10, and I highly recommend it. So, yeah, that's it. See ya, movie fans.